So let's think about this unconscious mind. Can you guys see this all right? The unconscious. I hope so. The unconscious mind. What's the goal of this unconscious mind? What's it there to do? So there's a lot of things that it's there to do, right? But the big thing, as Maureen says, is it's there to keep us safe. But I've got some notes here that I'm going to go through because I want you to learn and understand what the unconscious mind is there to do. Now, firstly, you've got to realize that there's multiple minds going on. But one way I like to break them down is you have an unconscious and then a conscious, okay? The conscious mind is the one that I'm talking with right now. I'm here with you. Well, let's just say that anyway. That's conscious. Conscious wants, write this down, conscious wants quality of life. So conscious wants to succeed. Conscious wants to have nice things. Conscious wants to achieve. Conscious wants to thrive. The conscious brain is the ego, it's the personality. It wants to do lots of stuff. It wants quality. Whereas the unconscious wants quantity. It just wants to stay around for a long time. Make sense? And this is one of the biggest battles of humanity, is we have one brain that says, go jump off that bridge and go bungee jumping. It'll be fun. And then we have this other part of the brain goes, what the heck are you doing? You're completely crazy. Those are rocks and you're a human and that's a bridge. Don't jump off the bridge. And so we have this safety, this handbrake behind us, and it's there for a reason. And so here's the difference. And I want you guys to really picture this. The unconscious is always saying, let's do what we've always done. Let's do what we've always done. We know we can predict the future by looking at the past. Does that make sense? The unconscious says, I can predict the future by looking at the past, and we should keep it the same because we've survived it up until now, and I don't give a crap about how happy you feel. I don't care about thriving. I care about surviving. That's it. So all that the unconscious wants to do is take the past and put it on the future. Take the past, put it to the future. Take the past, put it onto the future. Whereas the conscious mind wants the complete opposite. It says, yeah, we've done that. That's great. Let's increase the quality. Let's do this. Let's get a bigger car. Let's have a family. Let's get this. Let's do this. Let's start a charity. Let's start a business. Let's do this. That's not good enough. I want more. You see? And who's felt this civil war inside their mind at times? Well, it's interesting because the unconscious is what's running the show. The unconscious is running the show. I mean, this is 99% of everything. The unconscious is making sure you're digesting your food right now. It's listening to me. It's looking at me. It's consuming this. It's storing all the information. It's doing all of these things. If you don't have to think through it, it's your unconscious automatic brain that's doing it. And it's doing nearly everything, right? It runs the show. Now, this unconscious brain speaks only in feelings. So when you get feelings, that's its way of communicating because it doesn't communicate in words. But the feelings can create words in your brain. The unconscious brain can send you a jolt, a dose of guilt. It can send you a dose of anxiety. It can load up a chemical cocktail and hit you with it and pretty much stop you doing anything. It's very, very, very skilled at keeping you safe. It's done it for a long time and it's super important. You guys with me on this? And so this is the unconscious brain. But here's the other thing is through repetition, we can train the unconscious. Question, how many of you would like to know how to train your unconscious to listen to what you want? Now, that's what we're going to go through today. Here's the truth. As a human, we are born with the smallest amount of neural connections of nearly any mammal. You look at most other mammals, when they come onto the planet, they can walk. They can do a lot more than a human. We basically come out and we've still got to learn for a good 4, 5, 6, 7 years until we even catch up to what a puppy can do in its first month. Now, so this is what's interesting, is the human brain is the most plastic. It can learn so fast. So I want you to write this down. You already trained it. Let me give you an example. I'll take you back to when you're 14, 15, or 16. First time you went to hop in a motor vehicle and drive it. Maybe some of you 17, 18, 19. You jump in the car. You've got somebody next to you, and they're going to teach you to drive. They're sweating. Their palms are clamming up. They don't know what to do, so they cross their arms and they say, all right, put your foot down on the clutch, right? Put it in first. Seatbelt on. Check your mirrors, right? Now, when you first learned to drive, it was a conscious game, true? You had to think through it. Or if you've seen someone doing it, they're still thinking through it. You see the learner plates, they're sitting at the roundabout and they're like, what's going on? There's cars coming around this way. There's all these things. What's happening? This is crazy. And they're so slow. They're thinking about everything. But what happens, guys? After repetition, what happens? What happens? Well, through repetition, we train our body. I want you to get this. We've trained our body to take over a freaking complicated thing. Who's been driving on the motorway over 100 k's an hour or 60 miles an hour and realized they have no idea where they've been for the last minute? Who's just unconsciously been driving? Who's even gone past their exit and gone, how did that happen? You're in such a tiff with someone. You're so pissed off. I can't believe they do. Wait, where the heck am I? Or you get so engaged in that new song and you're driving along and you're belting out the best ballad. It's like this amazing concert featuring you in your car. And, wait, where have I been? Like, what's going on? Do you realize all the things that are happening for you to do that? Your body is staring, it's adjusting, it might even have changed gears. It's looking around, it might have changed the stereo. All these things are happening, all unconsciously. Who thinks that's pretty incredible, by the way? You trained your body how to do that. Does this make sense? You trained it, so now it becomes unconscious. You see this in great sportsmen. You see this in when people learn to dance. You see this everywhere. So I took up tennis just over a year ago. I never played tennis in my life before. Now I'm out on the court. I'm not thinking about it. When I first was out there, it was like, right, got to stand like this, got to do this. And I had to think through it, right? But now I've trained my body. I'm playing in a good grade. Guys have been playing their whole life. The serve comes out, I'm hitting it. I'm putting the angle of the racket at the perfect place, the perfect time, just to touch it over the net if I want to play a drop shot. I'm coming over the backhand. But I'm not thinking about it. Who's understanding this? This is crucial. This is crucial. Because I want you to hear this. The unconscious mind runs the show. But you run the unconscious mind. It's like training an animal. It's like training a dog or training a horse. You train it and then it does that. Does that make sense? You've just trained it in the wrong way. Who likes the sound of that, by the way? You've just trained it to be like your parents. Scarcity, work hard, sacrifice. You've just trained it the wrong way. Make sense? And that's what's That's what's so powerful to me. That's what's so powerful. So like today's call, I wanted to talk about that. I wanted you guys to understand it. And then I truly wanted to make sure that we go through it and we shift it, because the unconscious brain is what's running the show. And most of us are just letting the unconscious just take us for a ride, do what it is that it's being trained to do, and we're not controlling it. We think that we can go through affirmations, right? And that we can think our way through it. But it's not getting anywhere. It's not getting anywhere if we just think about it. Now, when I study things from, like Bruce Lipton, and I study what they're doing, I understand that truthfully, the law of attraction sucks massively. It really does. It doesn't have a conscious, it doesn't care. It just follows instructions. But we've got to understand how to give it the right instructions and then condition it to actually change, so then the actions create what we want. And this is the thing that we do inside this process, inside the magnetic mind. This is why we have you guys here for the 13 weeks. It's why it's so big. It's why it's so important, is to make sure that we make this happen. So today we're going to go through the inner power meditation. So it's number, I think, Hannah, which one's the inner power meditation? I think it's number one, maybe. Number 3, thanks, Nicole. So we're going to talk about the inner power meditation, and we're going to talk about some anchoring and stuff like that. But before we get in that, is everyone starting to get a good grasp of what the unconscious brain is? It is your job to train it, but it doesn't listen to just words. You see, it doesn't listen to just words. It's not just that. It actually needs you to go into the feeling, and that feeling is what's going to train it. So just imagine this for a second. Just imagine that for 30 years, you've been thinking a certain thought. And let's just say that thought that you've been thinking is I'm not enough. That thought, if you think I'm not enough, you think that thought for 30 years, guess what? That thought will send a chemical, it will send a transmitter down into your body. A neural peptide, a transmitter will be sent down to your body to then be turned into a feeling. Think about it for a second. You can think about something and realize that you then feel it in your body. You can think about a sexual fantasy. You can think about it get sent to your body. You can think about something you're supposed to do and you can feel guilty. You think about something, a neurotransmitter is sent, and then that turns into how you should feel. How you feel turns into an action. So the transmitter goes down, and it goes down into your body. It's going to go into glands and all sorts of things. But what's going to happen is after it goes there, out the other side is going to become an action. And that action is then going to reinforce that first thing. Now, what's interesting is when we look in here, now this, you can call this chakras, or you can call this genes, whatever. You can understand and study epigenetics. But here I just want you to think about the unconscious, okay? Because we can call it all sorts of things. I want to keep it simple. Now, let me share this with you. And Bruce Lipton talks about this a lot. If you've been thinking this thought for 30 years and you send that same neurotransmitter down to your body for 30 years, if not enough, guess what your body does? It physically changes. It physically changes to be able to receive that chemical because it keeps getting it. It physically changes to receive that chemical. Does that make sense? So if you keep sending it anxiety, sending it anxiety, sending it anxiety, sending it anxiety, it's going to change just to receive it, okay? And it's massive to understand that, because as soon as you shift, like I said right at the beginning, as soon as you shift and you get out of this vibration, you shift to this, guess what? Guess what happens? Your body screams out and says, well, where is my dose of anxiety? Where's my dose of not good enough? You've been giving me that for 30 years. What the heck's changed? That becomes its normal. Consider this. If a baby was born into a world that had a loud siren just going, same siren constantly, and it was just always there. And that's what it was born into. Do you think that the baby would just become familiar to this and basically stop hearing it? Probably. Well, what happens if that siren was gone? Suddenly everything would be changed. That child had grown up with that always there. Why isn't that there? What's going on? That's how it's always been. What's about to happen? Well, that's the same with this. It's the same with drug addicts. It's the same. Once you change, once you get rid of that chemical, the body goes, give me that chemical back. Let me ask you all a question. Have you all tried to change before? You've started taking different actions, and then have you ever felt a massive surge, a massive, massive, massive surge of some sort of uncomfortable emotions? Has that ever happened? Yeah. So you go start something new, right? Like maybe you have to go start a business or some sales calls, or you go start to do something, and then all of a sudden, this huge amount of crappy, annoying emotions come and hit you. And it's massive. And then what happens is you get right back into that not enough feeling. This is your unconscious brain hijacking to get you straight back into that feeling. Are you with me? So yeah, seemingly out of nowhere. So you make a decision, right? You make a decision. You're like, yeah, cool, I'm going to go do this thing. And you go there and you go to do it. You start, you're all excited. And then you start, and then all of a sudden, boom, all this doubt, anxiety, all these other things come in and it derails you, and you end up just getting back to the way you've always been, and you don't make the change. Is it just me, or has this happened to other people too? I'll tell you the story when this really happened to me. I made millions of dollars. I retired. I went and lived, and I was in Bali. I was in Thailand, and we thought, you know what, we're done. We're making millions of bucks. We're going to be there. I was the most stressed out person you have ever seen on a beach sipping cocktails. I was like this. So, well, I've got nothing to do. What am I going to do with my life? I'm 26. I've made $1 million, and now I've got nothing to do. What am I going to do? This sucks. Ah! I was so intense. I was so addicted to the feeling of I'm not good enough and I have to work hard that I'm finally trying to be there. But my body just needed that. It needed its dose, because since I was 6 years old, it was, we've got to be in the New Zealand basketball team. Let's shoot baskets every single day. It was just so intense. It didn't know how to actually sit back, relax, and let it receive. Didn't know how. It'd been trained the wrong way. Type in yes if you get this, because I really want to make sure you are. Just let me know if this is landing with you all, because we need to know how to change this. We need to know how to shift this. Now, no matter what anyone says to you, it takes time for you to change, for you to shift. So anyone says to you, hey, come to my 2-day course, come to my this, come to my that, and you're going to change, you probably will change. However, the pendulum will swing back really fast because you haven't held it in the new vibrational set point long enough to actually let your body and train your body to be this new way. Okay, it's basically creating a new you, creating a new habit. And so if you've got 30 years of living this one way, this is definitely the easiest way for you to do things. This is easy. This is fun. This is simple. No worries. So you spend 2 days. Oh, cool. Now I'm going to feel in abundance. Yeah, go to this event. Awesome. Guess what happens? All of a sudden you find yourself back here, because you have to do the meditations in the process, right? So that's what we do here. Every single week we do the meditations. We make sure we go through it. So today we're going to go through the inner power meditation. Let me ask, how many of you have done the inner power one? It's number 3 on the process. Who's done it? It's the one that you go into the field. There's a remote control button. There's the movie screen. Yeah, Swap's done it. Cool. So we're going to do that one today, but we're going to add something extra to it. We're going to add anchoring, which is something that that's from NLP, but I think it's very valuable. I don't believe in all of NLP, actually. I got master trained in it twice, and I think a good amount of it's really freaking awesome, and then I think a lot of it isn't. This is one of the things I think is really, really awesome. And so people always ask me, Chris, should I go get trained in NLP? And I always say, no, I don't think so. I think there's a few cool things, and that's why our magnetic mind certification is much better. Because this is one of the cool things. So quickly, how does it work and how does it look? Let's just get you a quick little bit of understanding about it. I've got a little bit of notes here for you guys to create your internal state. So You can change your mind and hijack your neurology whenever you choose. But this is what you've got to know, is that your brain takes shortcuts, okay? So anytime that you're in an associated intense state, okay, so you're in the emotion, at the peak of that experience, if there's a specific stimulus that's applied, then the two will be linked neurologically. Now, let me prove this to you. Can you remember where you were September 11, 2001? Yes or no? Can you remember where you were September 11, 2001? Yes or no? Can you remember something that was nearly 18 years ago? Now, that's incredible. And that's because you're in an intense state, you're in a unique place, and it was full on for a lot of us. So a lot of us can remember that. I can remember clearly exactly where I was. I remember hearing about it. I remember being shocked. Now, we can use that same thing to train our body, because isn't it incredible to realize that we trained our body in that moment? We trained our body to be able to get into that feeling. Some of us can think about it, get straight into the feeling, okay? So when we do this anchor, we're going to have your eyes closed. We're going to create a visual experience. You're going to see it through your own eyes. You're going to say things in your head, and we're going to breathe a different way and have different physiology, okay? And what's going to happen is we're going to be recalling past experiences. Now, as you recall it, what I'm going to have you do is squeeze your wrist, okay? And that's going to be your anchor, because this is an unusual thing to do. It's not normal that you take your right hand and squeeze your left wrist. I don't know many people that walk around doing this. And so if that's not it, you're going to squeeze like a knuckle like this. And what's going to happen is we're going to repeat this a few times. And there's actually a process inside Magnetic Mind around anchoring and a full explanation and everything else for you guys. But we're just going to move fast today. I'm going to take you in there, and we're going to set an anchor, meaning your brain is going to link a really positive association with this new feeling. Does that make sense? And that's going to be something that you can have there to start recreating the new you, the new you, the new you. It's going to start training your body to be a new you. It's going to change your attraction point. The law of attraction won't suck anymore. You'll be able to take control of it. Does that make sense? Good. Good. Good, good, good.